I am content creator Joey Garrity. I'm the founder of Superstar Women Entrepreneurs Media Network and Joey G113. I'm dedicated to empowering women entrepreneurs to create a beautiful, personal, and professional lifestyle by spotlighting superstar tools, tips, and resources that gain them ease and grace. Every episode, myself, along with a featured guest, share our Superstar Women Entrepreneurs journey on my globally recognized show, Superstar Women Entrepreneurs Spotlight with Joie. Hi, everyone. Welcome Superstar Women Entrepreneurs with Joie. I am content creator Joey Garrity. You can learn more about me at joeyg113.com. About my products and my services and my books and all kinds of fun things over there. I have a superstar guest today, but before we get going, I love swag. Right? I love everything about swag. I think swag is so much fun. And so I have a great piece of swag for you all today. It is this really cute summer little pouch. And inside of it is some of my favorite products. I have this Clinique. Clinique is a great product, right? Because it's so good for your skin. And I've been using it for years. And this is a moisturizer and it's really great. And then also too, I have a little blush compact in here so that you could take this on the go, all your summer trips, barbecues, etc. It'll be so much fun. So grab some swag, and how you grab it is you comment in the comment section something about the show, and then I enter you into a drawing, and then I pick a person, and then I'll let you know, and then I send it out to you. So I'm super excited about having this guest on today. It's all about how to leverage social media for bigger profits with Katie Brinkley. I love that name. It's such a superstar name. So I had to have her on the show because you know how I love myself superstars, right? And let's learn a little bit more about Katie. So Katie has been leveraging social media to grow audiences and income for over 19 years. Since the time of MySpace. Now get this, you all. I literally have a MySpace, like a little bag from MySpace from way back then that I had like shipped to my mom, and I swear she still has it. Like, mom, she's like, I love it. I don't care. But anyways, I love MySpace too. So she's helped her clients build a strategy to attract the right followers and generate consistent inbound leads. So I'm going to bring Katie up from the green room, and we're going to say hi. Hi, Katie. How are you?
Hi. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure. Absolutely. Absolutely. I saw you at Podfest 2023. You were on stage with Larry, which
Yep.
was kind of a fluke. I wasn't even meant to be at that session, but I was walking through the atrium, and I
Yep.
was like, "No, I'm going to pop in over here and see what's going on." And so I got to see you. So it was really cool.
Yay. I'm so glad that you did. Thank you for coming and checking out my session, me and Larry's session. Yeah. And there he
Yeah,
is with the red hat.
I know the red hat, of course, the red hat, which I love.
There we
I
go.
know, it's so much fun, it's so much fun. I wanna talk a little bit about your share here around your journey, which I thought was so interesting. You talk about how your spotlight share is, "I never would tell people about my experience as a radio reporter because I was embarrassed. I had switched careers. Once I started sharing that and embracing it as part of my story, people started connecting." I think that is such an interesting share. Let's talk about this because I think a lot of people do this.
Yeah. So you said before, I started with social media 19 years ago, but being a social media anything didn't exist back then. So I went to college to become a radio journalist, and I landed that job right out of college. I was the post-game reporter for the Denver Broncos and the Colorado Rockies, and I
Mhm.
loved it. It was what I went to school for. It was something I was passionate about. And then this thing called SiriusXM came out, and everyone in the radio industry panicked. A lot of people moved into TV. I was like, well, I have no TV experience. Only been doing this for about 3 years now. I'm just going to move into marketing. And so I left. And I wouldn't tell people that I had experience with radio. I wanted to start a podcast for a while, but I didn't really feel confident speaking into a microphone again. And I think it was just because I was embarrassed that I had stopped my dream career right out of, so long ago. And so I didn't really ever tell anybody that I did it. And it was on Clubhouse once that I was on stage with Subi Zimmerman. And after the Clubhouse room ended, she sent me a message. She was like, "Katie, you are so good speaking." And I was like, "Well, I have a history in radio. I mean, I feel like I kind of should be." She's like, "Wait, you what?" And I was like, "Yeah, I I used to be a radio reporter." She's like, "You need to tell people about this." And I was like, "Oh, but I gave up. I quit." And she's like, "You didn't quit. You didn't know that Sirius XM wasn't the end of radio. You had no idea. Use that as a strength, as a superpower." And so I started sharing that story, and it really helped me find my audience, my people. It helped me step into my authority of speaking more. And I share often, like I have a background in radio, in audio only formats, and video doesn't come naturally for me. And I think that it helps a lot of my clients that I work with who aren't comfortable on video be like, "Oh, so this person also hates video and they were able to do it. I want I want to learn from them." And I think it just has helped me with my story.
I think that's so beautiful. That's such a like a rolling out the red carpet moment because I know that this is going to be a tipping point for other people out there. In my trainings out there around visibility and influence, I always encourage people not to leave their past behind. I'm like, otherwise, it's like you drop down from Mars and people
Mhm.
don't know how incredible you are, right? Like all of that experience is what rolled into you doing what you do today, right? And
Exactly.
yet there is this weird kind of and I think this is global. There is this very strange kind of signal the community sends out of like how, oh, you know what, you should, that should be, it's like shameful in a weird way.
Mhm.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
what? I'm like, no, 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 no. When I first came out of Hollywood, the first time, I was very reluctant to share it. But I was so burnt out by the whole thing that I didn't even want to talk about it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to just so, like, for the first year, I literally walked, like, from one end of Golden Gate Park to the other, like, 7 days a week just to heal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because it
Yeah.
was just your whole life. It's your whole community. It's like how everyone knows you. It's like it's really becomes part of your essence in a weird way,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
But that's I think that's the lie in a weird I think that's the lie. It's just a layer. That's all.
Mhm. It's so true. I think that, with all of we it's our lives, it's our story. So a lot of times we're like, "Oh, well, this is something I kind of would like to forget about, or it's not that big of a deal." But it's that connection piece that's going to make other people connect with you. I mean, I talk about, radio, or that I was the post game reporter for the Broncos, and it's like, "Oh, the Broncos, I like the Broncos. That's
Sure.
pretty cool." Or I say like, "Oh yeah, well, I went to a smaller school, which was great. It allowed me a lot of opportunities. I went there because I played college softball." And all of a sudden, that's something else that is no big deal for me because I lived it, but other people hear it and they're like, "My daughter plays softball," or "I played softball in college," or anything like that. And it's those things that you're willing to share that can really help drive connections with clients, customers, and community.
I absolutely agree 100%, and it takes courage,
Yeah.
but there's so much more love on the other side of that piece of courage. That's what I've found through the journey, right?
Yeah.
'Cause I share every week, once a week, I share my ups and my downs of my journey and, like, what's going on with me, and, I'm a Scorpio, and so for a long time, that was I'm a very private person, plus, coming from Hollywood, you tend to be can be very private, right? Because everything else is kind of out there, right?
Mhm.
And then I just remember one day and I just was like, "No, I'm gonna do this." Like, I want other people to know they're not alone,
Yeah.
right? I want other people to know it's okay. Like we all have an up, we all have a down. It's cool. It's
Yep.
no big deal, right? And the story is what's so interesting. I like this too, is don't be afraid of your story, share it, embrace it. So, like, I'm just curious, like, when, like, you know, because sometimes I'll still catch myself because I'm on a lot of shows, and I'll get off some shows, I'll be like, "That was really oversharing." You know? And I'm like, "Huh." And then I just take a breath, and I'm just like, "It's all good, just be at ease."
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think that, like I was saying before, a lot of times with our stories, we're sometimes, I feel, almost ashamed of where, oh, well, this happened and I gave up, or I did this and it didn't make the most sense for where I am now, or anything like that. And that's what's going to help others learn from you. It's going to help others connect with you. And you never know what small tip from your story might be impactful for somebody else, for where they're at with their journey. I mean, there's so many things that, like, I was afraid to tell people for the longest time. I started my business 6.5 years ago. And very first thing I did was I made a website, chose a name, got the LLC and everything, bought the website, made the website, and I was like, all right, cool. It was 3 years before I started posting on social media for my business, which is a social media agency.
Right.
And that's the thing, is like, I was embarrassed to tell people that for a long time. I was like, oh gosh. And it wasn't until 2 years ago that I started actually posting on Instagram for my business. I
Oh,
mean, I knew how to create all this content for other people and write for other people, but when it came to myself, I was like, I don't know what to say. And so it's those things, that vulnerability, or saying like, look, this was a mistake I made, that's going to be impactful for somebody else wherever they are, and it's going to help them really. I think that our stories, we sometimes can discount, but it's part of who we are, and it's part of what's going to help us grow as a business or as an entrepreneur, but it's going to help others as well the more that we share it.
I totally agree. That's such a spotlight moment because it's just so authentic and it's very, very true, right? Just
Mhm.
because we're really great at something doesn't mean that we also, and sometimes it just has to do with time,
Yeah.
right? We're so busy taking care of others. When I started out as an agency and I was creating endless content for everyone else, right? This is what you do, right? That's what they're paying you for. So you have like delivery, God bless you. You have like deliverables and you have deadlines and have a lot of responsibilities, right?
Mhm.
And so, and I feel like too, I also want to tell people out there too, like, do what you like though, because I think sometimes people get so caught up in like they want to be here and they want to be there, right?
Yeah.
A- And I'm like, just be happy.
Yeah.
Like that's half the battle of being an entrepreneur, anyways, is like a happy entrepreneur makes, right? A
Well,
happy
that's the thing, is, you see the things of oh, I became an entrepreneur so I could, work from wherever and work whenever I wanted to. And honestly, like, I've never worked harder my entire life until I started my own business.
it's so
Really.
true.
Yeah, I can work from anywhere, but I can work from anywhere. That is really hard for me to stop working. And so, I mean, like, there's a lot of things where it's, yeah, you think you see these things and it's like, well, take it with a grain of salt. And not everything is, especially as a business owner, I think that as we're growing, we have to be willing to make those mistakes, and share the mistakes with others, because hopefully other people don't make those mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. Or the other side of the coin too, sister, is that we're opening the door to give people permission to make mistakes.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. Even inside of a job, like working in studios, they're still corporations,
Yep.
right? And they just have all the systems in place. And so because I was so indoctrinated into this so early in my career, right?
Yeah.
When I started my business, I didn't realize how many systems were in place for me.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that is how deep this is in terms
Yeah.
of becoming your own, like, solopreneur or business owner, right?
Yep.
Is you really sit back and you're like, "Wow, there is so much that you don't know because you don't need to."
Yeah.
Don't need to
Yeah.
know how to do it because they have set it up, and that is why it's a billion-dollar company.
Yeah. And that's one of the things too, like, I think that anyone that's looking to be an entrepreneur. Investing in coaches and courses was a game changer because when I was, just watching free things or just kind of trying to do like what I knew how to do, I was doing a good job. But once I invested in my very first coach, everything for my business changed. And I think that learning from people that are 1 or 2 or 10 steps ahead of you, being a part of masterminds, those are invaluable ways of learning. And there's always somebody that's gonna know a little bit more than you that can help you with the systems and the processes that maybe aren't your superpower.
I absolutely agree, like 100%. And that is, I think, is very indoctrinated in regards to the mentorship piece. Like I found that even in my early careers, like that people were like always willing to mentor, right? But what you're talking about is next level. You're talking about like identifying the right level where you're at. And then also too, like I think it's so interesting to learn from others. That's why I started the show. I love because any nugget can take you, like you can't is a tipping point.
Yeah.
And it's so bizarre sometimes. I'm like, that nugget was my tipping point? Really? Not like 1,000 other things I've learned this last couple months.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I was just like, "Huh, that's interesting," right? And I want people to know that out there. I'm like, "I'm telling you, it could be the smallest thing, and all of a sudden, it can just, like, change the whole game," and I'm like, "Cool."
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true.
I want to share with everyone today. It's about the marketplace is over the static post and passive consumption. Today, the marketplace wants content that grabs their attention. Here are just a few ideas, quizzes, contests, giveaways, assessments. And I love them. I will take a quiz, sister, any day, any time of
Mhm.
the day. I love
Well, and
them.
and if you think about it, Joey, like, this is the thing. With social media now,
Yeah.
we're consuming. We're opening up our phones or our devices to consume and to kill time. I
Yes.
mean, nobody opens up Instagram and says, "I wanna be sold to by a stranger today." Nobody does that. We're opening up our phones to kill time. It's no different than turning on the television.
Yeah.
So, how can you make sure that you show up effectively every time someone opens up their phone and starts scrolling? And it's there's a variety of ways of posting. I mean, just on Instagram alone, there's 5 different ways. There's the single image post, there's carousel posts, stories, Instagram lives, reels. All everyone consumes content differently. So you have to be willing to show up a variety of ways and be creative. I mean, with Instagram stories, I mean, I changed the cover art for my podcast and I did like a March Madness like bracket thing with different graphics I wanted for my podcast and everyone voted on it. People loved it. And it was very easy for them to be like A or B. And that was that. So I mean like but it was a great way to get audience participation. I could remind people on like, every day that I had a podcast, doing different giveaways like you did just now when we started the show with the swag bag. I mean, all of that are different ways to keep your audience entertained and engaged. And I think that when you're willing to show up a variety of ways and make your content engaging, it's they're going to want to see your content in the feed. They're going to want to say, "That's my person. Oh, I haven't seen a post from Katie Brinkley in a while. Head on over to her page." I mean, when you make sure that your posts are quality and not just spewing out as much as you can, that's the biggest game changer.
It is. It is, and it's about the consistency too. And
Mhm.
like, pick what's fun. That's what I tell people all the time. I said, "Don't." I said, "Do what you dig.
Mhm.
Just be consistent with it."
Yeah.
Right? I love swag. From that's just my nature, and that's actually one of my love languages. I like presents. So, of course, when I did the show, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna give away presents in the for swag, right?
Yeah.
Because it makes me happy, right?"
Yep.
But that's what I tell people all the time, go do what makes you happy. Some of my, colleagues, I told them, said, "Do assessments." Like, they love to do I said, offered assessment. I said, "You would be shocked at how many people are gonna want to
Yep.
do your assessment." I said, "It's a great way to meet people too."
Yeah.
I love it. I like things to be interesting. I found this, article the other day, and I wanted to share this about videos, the most engaging content, social media, with Americans reportedly watching, on average, between 80 and 120 minutes of online video on a daily basis.
I know, isn't that crazy?
That is mind-blowing.
And the majority of these videos are short.
I know,
You
right?
know, they're like but 10 to 15 seconds long, and that's why it's so easy to fall down into a 30-minute rabbit hole because, "Oh, they're only 15 seconds," and all of a sudden, 15 seconds after 15 seconds adds up.
Yes. That's crazy, sister. Crazy cool for us who are content creators and who love video, right?
And but this is the thing, Joy, not everyone loves video, including yours truly, and, but I mean, it's key. We're looking to connect with people by seeing them, whether it's just in a 15-second snippet, if it's a long format like this here, if it's going live really quick, on Instagram or something, or if it's just showing up in your stories. People want to see you and they want to see what you're up to. I
Yeah.
mean, reality TV changed everything. We used to just want to see, stuff by the Osbournes and, all the, famous people. We don't care. You could be, next door. My next door neighbor, for some reason, she shows up in my TikTok feed. I mean, like, but it's this is where we are today. We just want to see and learn from other people and see how other people are living their lives.
I agree 1000%, 1000%. As a matter of fact, in Ross Brand's latest book, and let's show you all here. Um, that was my prediction. Is I was like, we are the new
Yep.
real
Yep.
reality stars. And we have a real opportunity here to be these breakout stars where people are just gonna be like, and people are gonna be like, who knew that people were so interested in Joey? And I'm like, I know. I had no, I had no idea, right? And no
Uh-huh.
idea. And for a minute, I did stop posting about my personal life
Mhm.
because because I would go to events and people were literally wanted to talk to me about that. And that
Yeah.
felt really awkward, and I didn't like it, and again, it could be the Scorpio thing, I don't really know, but so I had to have a sit down with myself again. I was just like, "Joey, stop." But they wanna talk about my relationship all the time,
Yeah.
you know,
Yep.
about my husband and I was like, "This is so interesting to me," right? But that was a telltale sign, sister, it's true, it's so true, and I mean, listen, by the way, are you still obsessed with sports?
Yeah, I am. I'm a huge sporto. Like whenever like the conversation, like, what do you want to say about sports? We could talk sports. No, I love sports. I'm a big hockey fan. I love football, baseball, not so much anymore, and basketball, not so much. But I mean, yeah, I love sports still.
Okay, because I come from a fanatic sports family.
Okay,
Like,
let's talk
we
some
grew
sports.
up with Candlestick, essentially, like, my dad was bananas about everything sports, and I'm like, "Oh, so she loves sports, that's so cool." So the 49ers, right?
Okay. Yep, yep. My dad's 49ers fan and, Trey Lance and everything. We can talk that, and Jimmy
Oh,
G taking off for Vegas. I think
oh,
that's gonna be good for Vegas, but I don't like the
oh, yeah.
Raiders.
Oh,
And
yeah. I was at the Raiders stadium when it first opened because Garth Brooks
Vegas or in Oakland?
I know, in Vegas.
Oh.
Garth Brooks, he did the first concert at the stadium because it's during COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And I was in there and I was like, "What? You guys got all this? Like, this is crazy
I
money,
know. I know.
crazy money." It
Mhm.
was really exciting though, but yeah, so I love football. I like baseball, not as much as my dad, what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, so we have the Rockies here in Colorado, and
Yeah.
they're not that great. So I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I played college softball, so like we play a lot of softball and baseball in my family, but we're big hockey fans. We have season
Oh,
tickets
yeah.
to the Avalanche, and
I love
um,
hockey.
Yeah, hockey is on every night in our house, so
Oh, it is? Oh, so is that your guys' like, family go-to is
Yep,
hockey? That's so
yep, we
cool.
all love hockey.
I love that. I had one of my ex-boyfriends was a fanatic so much that he turned his guest room into a hockey all, like, memorabilia hockey room,
Uh-huh.
and that's when I fell in love with hockey because we were at all the games. I'm like, "Oh my god, this is so much fun." I
Yeah,
had no idea
they're
because I
so
didn't grow up with
fast-paced.
hockey. I'm from San Francisco, like,
Yeah,
we
there's no hockey up
missed
there. Yeah, well,
it.
we have the San Jose Sharks, but I mean, like, it's still kinda
I
yeah,
know, but it wasn't you know what I mean? Like, it's
yeah,
so and I was like, "I have really been missing out."
I
I'm like,
know.
"This is cool.
Yeah.
This is so much fun." I
Yeah,
have
I
this
can talk sports. "Oh, look it, there's me."
I know, I love that how you did this too. I think this is so cool.
Aw, thanks.
I love how you have, like, the paparazzi.
Yeah.
I just did a new, show opening for, 100 TV, and I was gonna do that. I was gonna do all these clicks and all these screams and
Yeah,
everything. So, it's like, that might be a little bit much for my opening."
yeah.
But then
No,
I was like, "This is so cool. Let's watch it again." I love that. I think that is so much fun.
thank you. Yeah, I mean, and like, that was a reel right there. It wasn't a video, it was just a whole bunch of pictures that I took over the course of a week, and I was like, "How am I gonna use all these pictures?" And, it with video, I mean, Joey, you're doing amazing with your video, but I think that if we're uncomfortable with showing up on video, there's still a variety of ways that we can start by getting our feet wet, and something like that, it's simple enough, you can get started that way.
I think it's great too because you're also spotlighting other people,
Yeah.
and I love spotlighting other people, like, that is my passion
Well, hence
point.
here we are,
And
right?
then here we are, right? And I'm sure it's because of one of my first memories of the first movie I ever worked on was Stargate, and my brother worked on it. And we snuck out of work, and we went to the movie theater together, and because we were at the premiere, but you don't watch the movie, you can't see it really, because you're at the parties and stuff. And we sat there, and we were just, like, in awe when we saw our names in lights. And I remember thinking to myself, this is the only industry, and people can say anything they want about Hollywood, and it is rough, by the way, but it's the only industry that actually gives everyone recognition, everyone down to no matter what they did on the movie.
Mhm.
And that stuck with me for so long. And I think that's where my love for spotlighting came from, is that memory with my brother.
Yeah.
And I love your share. I love how authentic you are. I
Oh,
think it's so refreshing, it's so refreshing, and, and part of the reason so I went to Podfest 2022, and I knew, like, 2 people, and that's why I went, and then in 2023, I was on, stage, and that
yeah.
went really well, but what really came out of it is I saw this arena, and I love video/podcast, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But I saw a lot of men, right, in the arena, right? I mean, I
Mhm.
saw you, like, I saw some women,
Yeah.
right, Celicia, right, and stuff like
Yep.
that. And I saw how I was like, "Oh, wow. This arena, like most media arenas, is starting to get hot heavily populated with men." I was like, "Yeah, no, no." And so that's when I launched the Superstar Women Entrepreneurs Media Network. And I went to women entrepreneurs. Some of them have never done a live show. They are not great at technology. And I was like, I'm willing to teach you because I want us to make sure that we have a really, really large spotlight and presence in this arena and
Mhm.
that we're at every table, sister, at
Yeah.
every single table. So blessings to you that you're doing that, that
Mhm.
you're one of the women amongst the sea, right?
Yeah, well, we do need to have more women, sharing their voices out there, and I
Yes.
recently hosted a summit back in February, and I know that we're getting towards the end of the show, so sorry to bring up this story now, but, one of the things I wanted to do was spotlight a lot of amazing women speakers, and but not just women. I wanted to have some men in there too, and I had a lot of really positive feedback saying like, "I can't believe all the women, you are showcasing on this." And I was like, Yeah, I mean, like, we need to have our voices out there, and I didn't realize, like, until I started looking at different events, like, in different live events, how many of them are mostly male. Like, there's some event that I keep getting Facebook ads for, I think the Aspire event, in Denver, and
Yes.
it's like 10 men that they're showcasing, and I'm like,
Most men,
"It'd be
yeah.
nice to have, like, maybe 2 women in that picture."
I know, I
Um,
kind of felt the same thing when I saw that the other day. I'm
yeah,
just saying I'm glad you brought that up
yeah.
because I was invited to go out there and I went and did a little checking around. I was like,
It's gonna
I
be a
was
bro fest. I don't know.
I mean,
Yeah.
but I feel like, coming from an all now what you came from,
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I was the
you must
only
have been like one like
no, I mean, like, and it was true. When I first started, I mean, this was a while ago, like, but I was typically the only woman in the locker room.
oh, yeah.
I mean, like, it's changed dramatically over the past 20 years. But like back then, I was one of the only women in the locker room. And I'll never forget my mentor, Susie. She was like, "Now, Katie, keep in mind, you're probably going to be the only female in there.
Yeah.
So your questions have to be better than all the men."
Oh, I believe it.
Because you need everyone else there to take you seriously.
Yeah.
So you need and I would go to the game like, there was times I'd go to the Rockies game, and I'd go there from opening pitch all the way through, and I would keep score, I would take notes, I
Oh,
would do all the
wow.
things, and there would be other reporters that would come in at, like, the 8th inning just to, like, be like, "Okay, well, here I am, I'm gonna go ask the" I went to the whole game because I wanted to make sure that, like, "Hey, I remember back in the 5th inning, you struck out on that curveball, and then again in the 8th, you saw that same 80-mile-an-hour curveball, and you ended up hitting a double with the RBI, ended up being the game-winning RBI. Were you expecting that curve again because you had struck out on it earlier?" So, I mean, like, those were the type of questions I was trying to craft because I wanted to I wanted to prove that I had a spot at the table, that I deserved to be there, and just because I was a female didn't mean I knew any less about sports than the rest of the people in that room. One more story, and then I promise we'll wrap this up. Because I know we're supposed to be talking about bigger profits, now
My
it's
dad would
turned into,
love
like,
to.
female empowerment.
You'd be
But
like, "What?" She was literally sitting there like
sorry, okay, last thing. In college, I took a football officiating course, and, on learning all the rules of football, and it was like a an education, a sports ed or whatever phys ed course, and the college football coach taught it, and all the other people in the class were the football players, and I know when I went into that room, they were like, "Why is this girl in here? She's probably in here looking for a boyfriend." But
Oh,
I wanted to be a sports reporter, so I wanted to learn all the rules of football because I never played the sport,
yeah.
and I mean, like, I earned the coaches' respect, the players' respect. I ended up announcing the football games for them after all these but I mean, like,
That's so
sometimes we have to do those things to show we deserve a spot at the table, and it sucks that we have to do that, but,
yeah.
it for me, it taught me a lot about what some of the things you have to do to prove that you deserve a seat at the table as a female, so
No,
sorry.
I
That
absolutely
wasn't
agree.
planning on going down that rabbit hole on this call, but
No, I
now that we're
agree
there.
100%. I mean, again, I am beyond passionate about this arena, right? Because I was like, we have a real opportunity here. We have a
Mhm.
real opportunity that it's not unbalanced,
Yeah.
that we can have a lot of balance in it, right? And
Mhm.
I'm like, so let's invite as many women to join this arena as fast as you can, And the beauty thing I tell people all the time, I said, and I know, sister, when I started lives, I didn't want to do them, trust me, right? It was overwhelming. It was a lot. Your background, your lighting, I mean, it's a lot, right? But I'm so glad I did, and I was really encouraged by another woman, Karen Glasser. And she's like, do it anyways, do it anyways. And I just had her on the show this morning. And and I've been having a ball with it. And then you just scrape the audio and you have a podcast,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly,
I was like,
exactly.
it's like great for your social media. It's fantastic. And Tuesdays
Yep,
and Wednesdays is really fun for me because it's my pre-marketing and then my show,
yep.
right? And then I don't have to post anything else.
Mhm. Exactly, exactly. Yep.
There's endless ways to look at all this. I so adore you, Katie. I love, love, love your point of view, your authenticity, how you're showing up in the arena. And then I love that you're obsessed with sports. I think that is so cool. And I didn't know that about you either. I didn't know that about you. And so,
Yeah.
until I got your shares and I was like, what? I'm like, that is so cool. I get to talk about sports all the time. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Katie. I so appreciate it. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love
Thank
you.
you
I
for
love
having
you.
me.
I'm going to drop you down in the green room. Go grab yourself a cocktail. Isn't she cool? She's super cool. I tell you, I saw her at Podfest and it was an accident. Like I was not supposed to be in that room. Like there, I mean, you know, I'm schedule girl. I know where I need to be next, right? But something told me to go in there, and I'm so glad I did because I got to see her speak. And what she was talking about is how to structurally organize your content, right? And of course, I love that because we should listen, our lives are full, and that's a blessing. It's a blessing that our lives are full, right? But we also have to be organized, right? So that we can have more fun and more freedom. So listen, everyone, join me for another episode of Superstar Women Entrepreneur Spotlight with Joie next Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific Coast time, 10 a.m. Central Coast time. I will have another superstar guest. And remember, it is your birthright to stand in your spotlight and be your own superstar in the marketplace. Until next time, everyone, ciao.